enthusiastic, but they haven't, right? Like the matches that we saw them in, specifically against Gen G, it was incredibly dominant. And Gen G, even though they looked weak in that series, it is, of course, you called it the T1 buff. I don't know if it's the Gen G debuff or the T1 buff. Or maybe it's both. Could work as well. That is not going to be a factor here. So DRX are definitely in a position where weird curveballs can maybe provide some difficulties here for T1. Simultaneously, I'm having a hard time thinking of something that you can reliably find as an entry point or a consistent weak spot in this T1 roster, meaning that DRX need to forge a plan that just stands on its own and is not reliant on, for example, against some of the weaker teams, isolating a bot lane or isolating a top lane and then hammering that point down from there.
Love the Seraphine ban.
Oh yeah, that one is obligatory. That one is mandated.
Especially when Faker just played 2 games of it and looked incredible. Yeah. You know, Seraphine, everybody looks at the encores in the later stages of the game, and that's kind of where she does get a lot of her power, but her sustain is ridiculous. And Faker's ability to stay present in the mid lane was really great as well. So he kind of just brought everything to the table for that pick. Not to mention that it's just incredibly strong. So they take that away, and they take away Carrier's Thresh, which is also a great idea.
Thresh in general has really been rising through the ranks of the pick and ban priority here. As I guess we're going to take Kai'Sa?
Or Udyr.
That would be... Actually, yeah, Udyr is more likely based on the priority we've seen from teams thus far. And I wouldn't particularly mind it. I'm imagining that's the direction that they are going to go in, just through like sheer tier list power pick. And for T1, I'm expecting them to be able to end up with at least decent prior lanes. However, if DRX really want to try and provide a big problem for T1, you might be looking at something like Sorka, put him on the Syndra, and then save your counter pick for Kingen, and then kind of go from there, which gives you the opportunity to get 2 pushing prio lanes, which will make Pioshik's life a lot easier.
We're seeing the Lilia hover, but, you know, when Hecarim's available, not necessarily a good idea nowadays. Riven hover as well.
Look at the grin.
Lots of, you know, talk around the Rift about the crazy stuff that Pioshik is playing in solo queue. And he is actually going to lock in that Lilia. So, you know, I was mentioning the Hecarim actually with the Udyr already picked it. You know, it's pretty safe. So he knows what the jungle matchup is coming in. So it's my bet on that one. But certainly going to be pretty nice for Pioshik to pick that one up. And this is pretty interesting. When you pick the Kai'Sa, you know, Teddy hasn't played any Tristana yet. But I guarantee you he can play it. We'll see if they do opt into that pick.
Might be going for a Kalista here, which is something that just because it's steady, I can kind of see happen. Kalista, of course, traditionally not a pick that excels in terms of late game power, but when it's steady piloting it, the equation is a little bit different. As we're not gonna talk about these offers. The Gnar here for Kana. Kana is actually one of the players who I feel confident that he can pilot after his hiatus. He looks incredibly well-rounded, and the Gnar is a pick that is hard to counter. I think if you go for something for like a Camille on Kingen, there is still an opportunity for Kana to get something done, as blind Zoe here from Faker.
Very interesting.
Oh,
I mean, they take away his Azir, but I mean, the guy can play pretty much anything. And he decides that today is Zoe Day. And so it's pretty cool. I think a lot of fans will be excited that it's not something like a Seraphine or like a Karma mid or the Galio that he always used to play to help out the team. It's a little bit more carry-oriented, as Jace is going to be the choice here for DRX into the Gnar in the top lane, you'd imagine.
And that is a very good matchup for the Jace. Kingen should be expected to actually find an early prior, and that's something that I was talking about earlier, where if Kana can't actually supplement Cuz and provide him with a lot of safety, that Udyr might get into trouble. I do think that just the raw power of Udyr in the early levels pre-6 is still more than enough to kind of keep Pioshik on the back foot, but then once 6 has passed, you get the sleep available, there's a lot more setup, it becomes a lot harder. As I was just about to say, I would like to see T1 ban out some stable mid laners, kind of force Sorka into a more volatile matchup, and then see if Faker can find an edge there, as that's a classic. I don't think the Ezreal is particularly strong right now. Kai'Sa also historically considered kind of a soft counter to the Ezreal, but it's Teddy, so I get it. You know, I don't mind it as much.
Yeah. It changes when you're going into this player.
Yeah.
Leona going to be taken off the board. That's actually a pick that Keria has shown some really great play on so far. He's 4-0, but they want to deny the Kai'Sa Leona in the bottom side, I suppose, as Lucian gets hovered. We're thinking about a pick here for the mid lane, it seems.
That will be, yeah, that will be the basic. I said it earlier, I think the Syndra is something that you can put Sorka on and have him be fine. This is interesting because I actually think that now the early levels are going to be a little bit easier for Faker to have pressure in that lane. However, I do quite like the pickup of the Victor in that you have a lot of poke already with this composition, right? You have your bowling balls, you have your Jason, now with the Victor it becomes harder to engage on top of you. And I don't know how I feel about this Xayah. Xayah has kind of dropped in priority as a counter pick to the Kai'Sa. You can of course go for the Xayah Rakan here. And actually, honestly, Xayah Rakan I kind of like. I think that the Nautilus is also perfectly fine. Just find it hard engage. And also take away a possible Nautilus from back here, because Kai'Sa Nautilus is also really, really strong.
Yeah, as you mentioned, that hard engage is going to be really just super nice with the Nautilus. And we know Keria is good on those hook champions.
Oh, yeah.
So going to be throwing down the Nautilus here. Alistair is available, so in terms of a kind of squishy poke composition that DRX have on their side, that will offer some disengage for them.
And the DRX comp here, I think that they have a lot of raw power, especially on the top side. And I think the idea of the composition is you poke, you know, with your Jace and with your Victor, you kind of fish for a big bowling ball or a big empowered shock blast, and then Becca goes in, Bao follows up, you know, Pioche can king and jump in, and then you clean it up from there. However, if you are going up in a straight up 5v5 scenario, T1 gets control of the river, you don't know where Kana is, and Faker gets to just throw balls at you, or sleepy trouble bubbles rather, consistently, then that might become a lot harder. So I think that in terms of sheer execution, the T1 comp definitely favored.
Yeah.
But DRX have actually shown that poke compositions are something that fit within their wheelhouse.
Yeah, it's definitely something they should be pretty comfortable with as a team. But, you know, as you're kind of alluding to, I think if T1 get ahead here, it's going to be pretty difficult for them to get much done. I mean, you're going to be throwing empowered shock blasts into, accelerated shock blasts into Nautilus Gnar, right? It's going to be hard, and the Udyr as well. It's going to be hard to hit the squishy underbelly of the Zoe Xayah. And, you know, T1 have shown that their early game is pretty fantastic, whereas DRX's is more of a, you know, we get behind and then we slowly push our way through in really pristine late game team fights, but I'm not sure if this is the composition to play that kind of style with. It's going to be interesting to see if they can make it work here, as we are going to hop onto the Rift for game number 1.
It should at least be a game with a lot of action, Veldas, and that is something that I welcome. No resident sleeper, I guess kind of with the Victor, but the Zoe at least provides us with some fun and interactive gameplay.
Yeah, we got Cloud Drake too.
Oh.
So even that, you know, we had 2 Cloud Souls in the first series, and even that series didn't disappoint. So
yeah,
now we won't have a Cloud Soul.
It's even better.
And you're saying there's going to be action. Sounds like you're trying to curse it.
Is this maybe it's too much? You know, maybe too much excitement is a bad thing. Maybe you want to not have a relevant soul in your game.
Yes. That's something we've learned over here at the LCK, especially when KT is playing. You don't want to get excited.
Yeah.
You're just going to be hit with the Cloud Soul.
I was decently excited, like at the first 3 weeks for KT.
So it was you.
Yeah, and that was a mistake.
It was your fault.
I got excited. It was single-handedly me who cursed it. I think it's the only logical conclusion to that one.
Yeah, it feels like caster curses are stronger when you're like a newer commentator, right?
Yeah, no, I've had that a lot.
It's kind of like beginner's luck, right? You get the stronger curse. Yeah. Beginner's bad luck.
Honestly, you know, I feel like it's just been like kind of a continuous thing where caster curses, just this split, have been, not just in the LCK, but just across all regions, have been fairly potent, you know? Maybe it all started with a certain monologue that took place at Worlds, and the caster curse scene has just never recovered. Pretty nice early trading here from Solka. But I do expect this lane early on to go decently even until the point where Faker gets a little bit VP and Solka is still leveling up and trying to get that evolve on his laser. And then from that point in time, he will be able to find a little bit more, but this early trading looking pretty hot. However, Prio will be available here for Pyosik in most of his lanes, and I wonder if he's going to do something with that.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely known to do stuff like that in the
A
past,
lot,
right?
In the role.
This is Pyosik, unless he's playing something like an Udyr, can kind of just find himself farming it out in the early game as you do on a pick like that, but this time it's going to be Cuz that does pilot that one. We're taking a look at the return of the solo kill machine, something like that. And yeah, I mean, in his last couple of games, he certainly was solo killing and dominating in that matchup against Rascal. As we're having a fight here over the blue buff, Pyosik is going to take a lot of damage. Comes down to the smite, and Pyosik will pick that one up. And with the priority on the top side, you can see that Kana's kind of getting baited into this fight. And Kingen still has Flash. He doesn't even need to use it there. That is really unfortunate. Kingen going to shut that down. And that certainly helps out Pyosik on his invade.
And that's a really, really great start here for the top side. And we haven't even said it yet. You know, will Pyosik use the early prio? The answer is yes, and aggressively so. I did not expect that to work out. An early Udyr invade is something that's really, really risky, but Pyosik does it beautifully, uses the red buff to kite efficiently there, wins the smite fight. And as you said, Kana just gets baited in, and that is a great start here for King, and double Scuttle might be coming up, although there is bots up prio here for Teddy and Keria.
Yeah, you know, Keria can come up here, and actually, you can see that Pyosik is respecting this a lot.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to have to deal with that Nautilus here as level 4 Lilia, so nice stopping on the back here, actually, from Faker. This is going to be very valuable.
Especially because the blue buff is still up. Maybe they want to go for an invade here. We do see some pings, but in the end decide the better of it. Do get the vision there. And in that light, like Faker playing really aggressively for the back cancel makes even more sense. I think Solka always teleports back there, but in a scenario where you find an early deficit, or rather an early window, maybe your team can use it. Doesn't actually come to fruition this time, though.
I didn't even know that Xayah was played 14 games. But apparently, here in 2021 spring, they are 14-14 in this matchup alone. So we're going to take another look at how this even happened in the top lane.
It's Kana starting off a trade on the back end of his Meganar. That is, yeah.
Did he miss the... Okay, I don't know. It seemed like he was just able to not get stunned up, and Kingen is just putting on a clinic up in the top side now.
Veldas, I said, you know, Kana is one of the players where maybe I have faith in him to blind pick the Gnar and not get punished.
Did you now?
I did, yeah.
It was you again.
Every time he keeps getting away with it, but not this time. I will pay my dues, I guess, in terms of casting cursing. I'm very sorry, Kana. Possible gank here though.
Yeah, 4 on Cuz, but you know he can slap. He's not going to be able to this time around, though.
Not slap that. Excuse you.
He cannot slap. I apologize. Yes. No, this time around, he is not going to be able to slap.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah. And that's level 4 Udyr, who's taken time out of his day to just try to come up there, relieve some pressure, maybe get a flash out of the Jace. Doesn't really amount to much except delaying some of his farm time, which is not a great feel.
The one upside is that even though it feels like Keria has not been in his lane for, I want to say like 20%, 25% of the laning phase, Teddy's still up a good 13 CS as Cuz. Round number 2, he didn't clear his ward last time, so yeah, I don't know about that one.
Kingen just drops a ward in his face, and he's like, "Listen, dude,
no,
you're not coming here. You're not going to gank me. It's not happening. Just leave." And you see that ward from Solka. The other thing that does, you know, it provides some safety for him, but also it stops the other... Oh, man. I don't even know what to say about that. That's unfortunate. Kingen's still in an awkward spot. Doesn't want to get walloped here. He is going to try to flash it, but misses it. And it ends up being a kill for Faker in the end, so a really nicely timed roam here. Faker's really trying to help all his lanes right now.
And he needs to, fellas, because this is the second missed execution coming out of from Kana's Na, and his previous games were against Rascal. Rascal literally still has the highest number of solo kills in the entirety of the LCK. We saw the man solo kill Sion as Cho'Gath. That's not okay. Like that's we laugh, but that's not something that should happen.
It was glorious.
It was glorious. We were
you and I, the Cho'Gath fans, watching from home, just giggling.
Yeah, we had a great time watching that one come to fruition. But it is something that, like, his performance was really, really good. And I don't know if it's nerfs, I don't know if it's just inconsistent form, but we have seen players like bounce back within the game. That's what Kana needs to do here. This is two critical mistakes. Fortunately for him, in this case, it still gets the job done, right? Like, I think this is also, like, it looks kind of troll, but it's also a nice sidestep from Kingen, and him dodging away to that
phase
side.
rush, right?
Exactly. Him dodging away to that side actually does mean that he buys time for Faker, so it's not, I take it back, I don't think that's, like, purely a missed execution. I just think it's actually a really nice play from Kingen. Fortunately, Faker is there to salvage the play. And now we do get another kill on the Zoe, which is pretty great. However, Pioshik's back again.
You got the red buff here on the Udyr, and Pioshik is getting really aggressive. A solo kill in the jungle. Now we got a 2v2 down on the bottom side. The Killer Instinct comes in. Teddy's just trying to get out of dodge, but he cannot. As the straight up 2v2 kill will go the way of DRX. And now Becca just trying to body block here. He's got the stun coming up. It doesn't look like he can quite edge out that second kill, but still a nice win for the bottom lane of DRX.
It's a bloodbath, and of all people, Teddy and Carry are not ones you expect to lose lane, and T1 as a whole looking a little bit more shaky here, but also got to give credit to DRX. Besides that one play by Pioshik, they're also looking pretty on point here tonight mechanically, very sharp, and it's one of the reasons why we do actually put a lot of stock in this team. They have their inconsistencies, but when they're on, they look really, really good. This though, yeah, it's a red buff Udyr. Last time it went well, also due to like the smite fight and it being really early on. Taking a nap after that, it's gotta feel good. And yeah, this is just straight up a really nice play from Becca to set that up. I don't know what else to tell you. Teddy also not able to find the feather pullback thanks to a great flash from Bao there. And that's pretty much the end of that play, as Kana presumably took the end of a trade that wasn't super great based on his health bar.
Yeah, seems that way. Yeah. He is hitting Meganar, but he's going to have to leave. He will have teleport soon, but based on the teleport cooldown, of course, it's probably going to be like 20 seconds-ish. So probably will just have to run up to the top side unless he wants to wait. Nope, he's just going to jump on up. But this means plates for Kingen and more of a lead, even though he does get ganked there by Faker that one time.
So Faker, you know, you have the item anyway, might as well use it. Maybe if Pioshik actually makes this gank work, wishes he hadn't. No bowling ball hit.
Yeah, Pioshik's kind of in an awkward spot after dying there. As another bubble is going to hit onto Faker. Gravity Field comes in, but this is still great poke damage coming out from Faker, making Solka's life pretty difficult. He also picked up the Dark Seal, so after getting the kill up in the top side, he's got a couple of stacks. So Faker on a champion that can carry. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how far he can take this Zoe.
And we did see Kuz able to take the Rift Herald. I'm pretty sure that's why Kana was so low. Possibly some poke coming through here. We'll be able to march towards that top side. A dive on King and could set up a first turret blood here. But Meganar already being used.
Still gonna come out here, gets that stun down and into the wall. He is just stun locked from 100 to 0. That's the kill and the Demolish proc and the Rift Herald that they can use to get an insane amount of damage onto that top turret now.
But you know what they gave up, Veldas? One Cloud Drake.
Oh, no.
That's a trade you'll take any time of the day as T1. Really great choice there from Kuz. However, Teddy and Carry are not able to actually defend that turret here. Will still be first turret blood, but they will be able to rather give up a little bit more than otherwise might be the case. But this first turret blood is going to help Kana out a lot. He's going to feel a lot better. Oh my god, that's 700 gold. That is... wow.
Yeah,
yeah, that's a lot. Valdez.
A lot of money.
Yeah, and that is something that I think Kana also really needed, because what we do see here is that if you actually do get the lockdown on Jace, he's also immediately like he's Nami, right? Like he's a tasty snack that Kana's gonna have no difficulty dealing with, and that's kind of what you're gonna be looking for now that the boots are finished. As
5, 4, 3,
and now he's dead. Like. That's the problem, if you can't flash out. And honestly,
wow.
Even if you do flash out, I don't even necessarily know if you live that. I think Kana might like go for the flash, hop on the minions, and then still find you. But at the very least, you are able to save a little bit more time. Maybe you don't give up first turret blood immediately. Instead, gold lead is extending it for T1. I'd like to draw your attention. They have a Dumbmon-esque stat here. Oh, Kingen.
Well, he's got his blast this time, but there's such a long lane that there's no reason to. He knows he's just going to get run down by the Udyr, so he just has to accept his fate again. Talk about turning that matchup on its head. It was looking so doomed before, as now they engage this time around. Will be Feather Storms. Keria has his Aftershock procced, is going to get the triple knockup, and now a TP coming in here from the Gnar. Well,
that's fine. It's 2 flashes.
Yeah, he gets the double flash, but at the same time, not able to get the stun as, ooh, nice engage here from Keria, trying to get on in now as Bao. But do they have the damage? It doesn't look like it. Now into the turret, the Chaos Storm not actually able to get any consistent damage there. And that means that T1 will get out of dodge, although Faker is going to take a shot to the face. And DRX will be able to push this turret now.
In the end, when all the dust settles and the skirmish is over, I guess it's a win for DRX here. They do give up a lot of the summoners, but so does T1. And pick up a couple of extra plates here for Kingen. Lane swap can now be initiated. Probably going to put Sorka towards that mid or top side with Kingen in the other side lane. And yeah, I don't. This is the unfortunate scenario with the Jace and kind of why we do put a lot of pressure on the Jace to do well. It's because once you get to a lane, like a game state where you actually can get ganked, or like you don't have a lot of built-in safety, you're just in for a really rough one. I quite like the idea here. I think that it's a bit greedy from Teddy and Keria to go for this, knowing that your jungler has just backed, but considering the teleport, it does make a lot of sense. I think that forcing the flash there is completely fine. Main issue that now they need to try with all their might to defend Teddy. If you don't hit that hook, this looks completely different, because I'm pretty sure both Teddy and Kana just immediately get blown up.
At least Teddy.
Yeah, that was Keria. You know, he's a good support. Valdez.
He's
pretty impressive.
Done some crazy things, and that's just going to add to the long list of crazy things he's done. And, you know, the main thing about taking down that top turret, you mentioned, like, the gank pressure that comes onto the Jace, but also it allows the Gnar to just get out of that lane. He doesn't have to sit there and take blows from the Jace over and over. He can head down to mid. He can help out with some objectives. It ends that laning phase early and makes you feel so nice. And take a look at the CS. I mean, Gnar's in a fantastic spot compared to that Jace. And you think about that counter pick. Takes so much power away from that if you can just leave the lane.
And I gotta give credit over to Cuz as well. Interestingly, and this is what you see, like, in the end, it is actually DRX that gets more out of plate gold. The fact that T1 was able to pick up the first turret blood is what really gets them ahead, combined with, of course, the advantages and kills that they were able to find. But as a whole, it's kind of a flip of what we normally see, where Bao and Becca actually like are straight up winning the 2v2 against Teddy and Keria. Now, not to a point where the matchup is a problem. There's a possible collapse onto Kana here. Still with Mega Gnar, but I don't think this is going to end well.
Kana's been having a fun time, but unfortunately, there have been some mistakes. And he is a bit out of position, but he's looking to turn it around now. He does not have Mega Gnar, though. They do have the damage to blow him up. Cuz trying to get on top of Pyosik here, going 1v3. As that hook is going to sail wide. Teddy not able to win that fight on Solka in the river, as Faker looking for the big wallop there onto the Alistair. And he's going to do a nice amount of damage. Bowling Ball will sail wide, and nobody else is going to go down here, just Kana.
And that's a painful one, because that means a second Drake hit for DRX. And yes, the DRX comp is hard to execute, but this is not a comp that skills poorly. I think Lilia up until 2 to 3 items.
Infernal too.
Yeah, this is going to be good. And this is just straight up, you know the Drake is coming up, and we see this time and time again. Normally, I think a straight up like dog pile towards you as a top laner can feel kind of bad, but in this scenario, you should know it's coming, because you know that DRX is going to try and contest this Drake. The subsequent play then, trying to make it work here without your main 2 damage dealers, just causing carrier is not really going to happen. As you see, the moment that Faker comes in, they do actually have damage, but at that point, Cuz is chunked, Teddy is chunked, and they can't actually contest. And DRX's comp, individually they skill very well. Victor, self-explanatory, same for the Kai'Sa. As said, I think Pioshik's utility remains viable throughout the entirety of the game. I think up till 2-3 items, he also keeps like increasing in strength. Whereas T1, I think the front to back comp is super duper strong, but you do need to execute it well. You're down 2 Drakes, and if you know, have another mistake like that and you give over a soul point, then all of a sudden this game becomes super contentious, and maybe the pressure a little bit mounting here for T1, but I think Kingen is in trouble again.
Yeah, well, with the teleport coming in here, they are really looking to bully this Jace down. They're just going to wait until Kana simply pushes the lane. Kingen, no escape for him, and he knows it. He's trying to do as much damage as possible before he does go down. What can DRX get on the map while this is happening? Well, I suppose a turret for Solka up on the top side, so they trade a kill on the bot for a turret on the top.
And normally you feel good about this because you're forced to teleport, but it's Faker, and he has unsealed spellbook, so not as good as usual.
Got him. As now, Cuz thinking about it, doesn't have his chem tank, so not going to be as solid of a dive. So they're just going to go ahead, take down that mid turret. Solka doesn't join up here. He's got teleport, but doesn't care. Maybe would have teleported if the dive did happen. But for now, he'll just continue pushing.
The key takeaway here, though, is that T1 is not actually able to find the early game leads that we've seen him take again and again and again against a lot of other teams against DRX. And DRX is a team that, if we look at the wins that they find, it feels like they kind of come out of nowhere. It feels like DRX is losing the game up until the point that they're not, right? And plays like this, really, really nicely set up, just a lot of pressure in side lanes, but outside of a kill, on Udyr of all people, it doesn't actually get you a lot, right? You also don't invest a lot. It's a 1-for-1 trade into the turret, so it's fine, but this is not going to be what wins you the game, and I want to see T1 actually be able to turn these kind of plays into more than just an outer turret. I want to see Drakes, I want to see Barons, or I want to see more kills come from it, because otherwise, I think DRX is going to be at a point in the game where normally other teams would lose, and then they somehow find a pick and win the game off of that, because that's what they've been doing throughout the entirety of the split.
Yeah, and you know, I saw you rubbing your hands there when we had the Infernal Soul, because it means so much for this game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, every single Drake even. But especially because DRX were able to take these first 2, and even just 1 Infernal Drake, which, again, is awesome, it gets them to Soul Point, which will maybe just be lights out. I mean, you talked about the amount of scaling and damage that they have.
Yeah, no.
1 accelerated shock blast hits a good target, even a bad target, right? Like a tank. You're still doing insane damage with Infernal Soul. So that threat is going to be there. All of these fights are really going to decide, you know, who is going to be taking this game. And so it's going to create a lot of action. And that's really what we're here to see. Carrier is, he's got an angry cow on his back. Faker going to hit a huge amount of damage, actually. Note his itemization. Banshee's Veil first after the Verdant Barrier against Lilia Victor. Take notes, guys. You don't always have to rush your Mythic. And in this case, seems to be definitely the right choice.
We've actually seen a lot of more experimentation with that, right? We, of course, have Ezreal, who doesn't even need to build a Mythic necessarily. We have champions like Aurelio build it 2nd or 3rd, depending on the game state. So it's nice to see some variations. Zhonya's first is also one we commonly see for champions like the Lilia, in this case Pioshik going for double mask first and presumably then into a Zhonya's. And I love this. T1, everyone that needs to back has already backed, hopefully. I don't want to see Kana or Faker back now. Like, that's not allowed. Get that Prio in the mid lane, set up vision, and start throwing poke. This is where the Zoe shines. This Drake is 100% must get for T1, and DRX are looking to contest.
Every Drake from here on out. It is so important. As Faker, he's really just scouting, you know, over the wall with that Zoe. And some of the wall is actually removed with the Infernal Rift, so pretty interesting how that affects the Zoe. Becca and Solka, actually everybody on the side of DRX looking to get on in here. This is the poke you're looking for. Faker and Kingen, I suppose, have got the longest range poke, so it's going to be on them to really land that pre-fight damage. As already this Drake is started up, the bubble's not really landing. DRX have got a nice spread so far. As the Mega Gnar is going to come out here, DRX may need to respect this. As the Paddle Star going to miss once again, Ingo's carry, he actually misses, and they kill him, and the Gnar ultimate hits nobody as well. As they flash away from that one, and now the front to back here from DRX is just huge. As they take down 2 and T1 have to turn tail. They cannot fight this one. Teddy was not able to join this fight. And they're just looking for more, as they want to get more kills here. Feel like the Infernal Drake would be good enough, but okay. They finally give up on that one, and now they're going to take the Infernal Drake.
4 instant flashes, Valdez, from DRX there. That is a play that, if you don't have flash that's just a one-team fight right from the get-go. But as you say, just Carrier going in is not enough. He needs the backup from his Gnar, but Kana was 100% spotted. And the Gnar ultimate is one that you get 100% flash away from. It was too obvious of a setup from T1. It might work against a lesser team, but we've seen that DRX, this is where they shine. At the same time, though, if you pick up a Baron for it, it's just Soul Point, not Soul, so that's a trade you'll take as T1.
You'll take it. We'll see if they can actually take down the Baron. We have the teleport committed to here by Solka, but with the Nautilus in that brush, that's very threatening for Solka. He's actually going to ult on a Pyosik, so there's no hope of the steal. They're looking for a follow-up engage, but the Mega Gnar is coming on in here. Looks like they want to get in there anyway. DRX really looking to force this as Becca is going to go down. We get the sleep now onto Kana, who is going to have to hop away. And a ton of damage coming in, but the exhaust is pretty huge. Kana this time able to land his abilities, just trying to sacrifice for his team. As Faker is trying to do some follow-up damage, and everybody else is able to get away from there with the Baron buff intact.
The golden ball.
You see Teddy not even flinch? He's like, yeah, I'm totally fine.
No, I'm not afraid. Like, we're getting excited. Teddy is not as the teleport.
What? Faker's angry, and you know what? No flash available for Bao. That's just a free kill. They're gonna get one.
No, they don't know where he is. Come on, blind bubble Faker. You can do this. You got this.
Because it's pretty fast, but not fast enough.
And I gotta agree with you there. I feel like if DRX just straight up immediately go for the Infernal Drake and then back, and then that Baron doesn't happen, like 100%, but instead they spend, I don't know, like 30 seconds chasing down Zoe, and it's just, that is a questionable decision coming out there from DRX, who, honestly, up until that point, that team fight was so beautifully played. It was super well executed. They knew what T1 tried to do, to go for the hard re-engage and the big flank there with the Gnar. It was spotted, and they responded as well as you possibly could, winning the team fight. But then there's also, this is the reason why DRX lost against Motion, right? But the inconsistency that we talk about, the over-eagerness, that's the flip side of the medal of being a young, enthusiastic, really happy-go-lucky team. Sometimes a little bit too happy-go-lucky, and now it's T1 with Baron.
Yeah, which is interesting because, you know, in round one, when it got to the late game, they were kind of like stone cold.
Oh, yeah.
Know? They were just always very consistent, but now things have kind of changed in round two. Maybe a little bit excited with some of their success that they've had in recent times. And you can see Baker, I mean, he's got 7 stacks. He has the stopwatch still. He's looking for teleport plays to pick up kills. And this is always going to be really rough to deal with here in terms of the damage. But DRX on soul points. We'll see if they can actually push the Infernal Soul, because I think if you get that, you just have enough damage to burst down anyone on the side of T1.
That's the main issue here, is that yes, T1 get Baron. Yes, they get a sizable gold leads. Although 2K, you know, obviously is not mind-blowingly big. But in a minute and a half, a little bit more, the flashes are going to be up again. And T1, you can't go for that play again. We've seen it doesn't work. DRX, they're ready today. The fingers are on the buttons. And here we can see it yet again. Like, this is not a mis-execution, right? This is legitimately just really well played by DRX. All the damage dealers just like, hell no. And then, obviously, the gap between Cuz, Faker, and Teddy, and Kana and Carrier is too big. Carrier at that point already dead. And then, we don't see this here, but that chase that is being set up, by DRX is really what's the nail in the coffin here, because it buys T1 so much more time. And then, yes, of course, they get a couple of exit kills here. However, they also... Yeah, thank you.
And Becca dies
that's
for it.
Worse. Yeah. So that's not worth it at all. But we've seen this time and time again, that when there is just a single Drake away from Sol, the team that has that position can always come back. And this is DRX who excel at coming back. This was really funny, though. I don't...
Yeah. No escape for Bao.
Okay, there you go.
Nothing he can do.
Oh, no.
And now, this is what I wanted to watch. DRX taking the time here now to push down the mid lane. Faker not going to hop over the wall just yet. There he goes. Trying to clear out that wave. They're trying to get as much value here before the Drake even spawns. You can see that the poke damage is huge, as Faker desperately trying to carry this himself. Not able to extend that onto Solka. And now we got Meganar coming out here. That might be extinguished by the time this Drake fight even starts. And you can see DRX, they're like, nope, 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 nope. Get me out of here. I'll just wait until you're mini-nar again.
I would like to divert your attention to the red buttons on the side of DRX's screen. They're all okay. Besides Alistair, but you don't care about him. All those flashes available. The health bars are already low, and T1 cannot afford to lose this fight.
If you give away Infernal Soul here, it might just be game over. We'll have to wait and see how this one goes, but no Meganar. Faker's low. The burst coming in. Can Cuz steal it is the question, and he will! Cuz will steal the Infernal Drake and give them a chance at winning this game. As the sleep will come in. Not sure about this follow-up engage, but they do get the Drake at least and deny the Infernal Soul from DRX.
Straight up not necessary, you got the Drake, get the hell out of there T1, but importantly, they find this Infernal Drake, and if that soul goes over, with this composition from DRX, your health bars are just not existent as T1. We already see the amount of damage that comes through here, and this was a steal with a level deficit, so man, shout out to Cuz, he's been smashing it on the Udyr, coming back after a long hiatus. I think is also currently rank 1 in solo queue. I think he might even have multiple counts as this is great. Look at these health bars. Why are you re-engaging?
Run.
Run. Then again, you could argue that, you know, like, you're gonna die there. I think that if just Carrier goes in and like stalls, then you should probably be fine. Maybe T1 made the call, listen, we're just gonna sack both Carrier and Kana, and there's no objective, so it's fine, right? Like that, I can see that to be the call. I hope the call was not we re-engage, because with Faker and Teddy that low, please do not do that. And now, as T1, it feels weird, but they've bought themselves another 3.5 minutes. But with the just power on the side of DRX and how well they're executing these fights, I do not actually know if T1 is favored in a late game scenario here, gold lead or not. And this is a nice edge game here, Valdez.
Yeah, this is a great start to what could be a 3-game series, even if it's not. I mean, these games, this game at least, I mean, it's not disappointing.
It's XT1 too, and also DRX who love 3-game series. So like, let's be. I'm hoping for free, man.
We better have it. We better get it. Teleport committed to here. That is Faker. Again, he does have the unsealed spellbook, as you mentioned before. A little bit of KRM, you know, we got this Baron up, so with the amount of damage on both sides, actually, you got to be careful for either team to just rush it down. This Teddy is going to have to life steal up a bit here. And with not much vision, Cuz got a really nice control ward up there. I believe that was him at least that placed this one, so it spots them in the river for now. Ooh, Faker finds Solka, but not going to go for it just yet.
One of the problems is that with Becca, you actually have someone who can just face tank these paddle stars the moment that someone gets hit. So outside of skirmishes, it's actually really hard for T1. And T1's engage is good. Nautilus can go in, but the problem is with just DRX are basically full damage dealers, right? Yeah. And like that, not just any damage dealers, but a Fed Jace, a Victor in the late game that's hit his 2-item spike and is building towards a third. Bao, which honestly is self-explanatory, and Theoshik, who is also what looks like not going for a Zhonya's, but going for a straight-up Void stuff as his third item. So like
I love it, actually.
Yeah, they're there, and that means that if T1 engages and it's not a straight-up win of the fight, and that's why they're so hesitant, you just get blown up, right? You lose because they will flash away, and then their kite back is absolutely disgusting. Yeah. So T1 needs to find DRX out of position. But DRX have actually been super diligent at now not getting caught out of position.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I was just laughing at the B.
No,
he looks very happy.
Yeah, he does. I mean,
yeah.
That's... Listen, I can talk about what these two teams are doing, but in the end, it's about the players, you know, having a good time. Because that's the DRX buff.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that is... the happier they are, the better they play.
You know, he's being the happy bee on comms right now, so should be keeping them calm. Becca misses the scam on the ward, actually, in the river. Pretty cute position. So they know they're not on Baron, so T1 never have to engage here. They never have to face check.
Good catch. Means that they can get Prior without nearly being scared. And, oh, this next Drake, Valdez.
Yeah, here we go again.
Oh boy.
Third time. On these Infernal Drakes, every single one has been a banger. We'll see how this one goes. Faker trying to get some poke damage done before the fight begins. But it's so rough because even when they land that bubble, you just throw out a shock blast and deny them from following up. Nice little split push from Kana. He's actually going to draw King in all the way up to the top side. So no poke from the accelerated shock blast now. And 4v4. I think I actually like T1's position. You can see that DRX are going to back away. Now keep in mind, DRX have to be careful too, because with the amount of damage that both sides have, that Infernal Drake can just be burst down before you even get there. So they have to get closer. Looks like they will now.
Look at King and then Kana. Kana actually, at this point in time, more than enough resistance is available. And don't forget, DRX can give up this Drake. It's not soul point. It's not a soul for T1. And it looks like they are actually going to go for that.
T1 are going to fight this one here. Becca's got a great position, but Cuz, the tanky jungler, actually not going to spot him, I don't believe. And you can see the back off here. They're wanting to turn. They find Cuz, but he's just way too fast. That's not the guy you were looking for. The Baron continuing to go down here. Just looking for this one. All 5 members of DRX just grouped up onto this. The sleep will come in, and they could look for this fight as Becca gets a huge knock up in the front line, and Keria already dies. Although the damage does come out here, but take a look at Teddy. He's so low, and he's just going to be burst down by the Lilia. Do they have the damage, though? Cuz is actually in that back line, and Faker stays alive for the entire time. All the other carries on the side of DRX do go down. Really nice stopwatch, though, from Pyosik staying alive. This is such a close fight, and Faker's going to take it down in the end with a double kill, as T1 will pick up the ace.
Whoa! Oh, that was just gorgeously played from so many people. In the end, it's T1 that gets away with it, but my god, what a fight that this series delivering here, Valdez. As we see, both teleports have been used, and Cuz and Carry are just trying to keep track. There's no vision of this Baron, so they need to go in and out to see what the score is. When the sleep gets popped, they know it's now or never. We need to engage. Yes, Carrier gets blown up, but he is able to actually use his ultimate, which keeps Pyosik and Sorka out of this fight. And then it's the kite deck that comes through. Yes, Teddy gets blown up, but he deals so much damage. Kana buys some space, and there is the best League of Legends player of all time that's still alive on his Zoe. The fact that Pyosik lives here is not okay. Like, I just want to reiterate that. Like, that's no, that should not have happened. Regardless, with all the flashes, at that point in time as Zoe, it's just like a, you know, you're in a carnival and you can get everything for free, and you can flash and you can dash and you can pick up as many summoners as you like, and it's T1 who gets the Drake, wins the fight, and doesn't give DRX the Baron.
They gain so much from that, and really the biggest key for me there was the ultimate from Kana into the wall on Bao.
Yeah.
You know, Bao with the early killer instinct, which we've seen be actually killer to the Kaisas more often than not. You got to be really careful in the late game scenario when there's so much damage on the board. Like, you get out of position for a split second, you're just dead, right? Like, you're just not going to do any damage. It's one at Cathian Rain, and he just dies, because he gets ulted into the wall and then Faker blows him up. As this might just be the fate of Solka, although that bubble is going to miss. The damage not quite there. The flash, though, from Teddy is enough. And they nearly get Becca on the back side of this. T1 are just, they've got some nerves of steel right now. But that's a lot of poke damage on a Teddy. He's going to have to get some health back here.
Yeah, that shock blast is really big because it means that T1 can't just immediately engage. Kana didn't have the teleport available there. I don't actually think they can go for this. It looks like they might choose to do so. They are going to go for it. There is the spot. They know that this is happening. Poke is available.
Yep. You see DRX pretty hesitant to get on in here. We'll see if the Alistair, he gets knocked up out of the Hex Flash. Not sure if he was actually going to commit to that, but man, that just puts the nail in the coffin on that idea. As okay, we got some poke coming out here from DRX. Trying to stop them from coming on in here. Faker, a little bit of an awkward spot. In comes Bao. They're looking for the follow-up engage. They have enough damage to immediately take out Lilia, and Faker is just stacking up the kills at this point in time. Just smurfing it here in this game number 1.
That is quite the performance coming out from T1 here. They get the Baron, they get away, and this is going to line up perfectly. This Baron is going to time out exactly as they get to the third Infernal Drake, Valdez. And honestly, this is just carrier, right? That just absolutely smashes that. I'm not sure how that bubble missed. I don't know if Sorka, like, I guess it was just a straight up miss. It looked very weird because carrier was kind of blocking the view. Here they try and go for a big counterplay. I think as Pioche, once you miss that, actually you don't have ultimate, so like even if you do hit the bowling ball, you do not want to commit there. You should just not do that. Thank you very much. And now T1 are going to be able to shove in the lanes, possibly break an inhibitor or two, because their siege at this point in time with a 7-0 Faker is not fun for DRX. As
look at Teddy.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have flash right now. He's just, this is my rift. I'm going in there. They cannot stop me. Takes a hefty amount of damage as well.
The confidence on Teddy is really fun to see, because even though his KDA isn't very good, I feel like his aggressive play forward does actually buy a lot of space for the rest of T1, specifically Faker. And you need to deal with both. That's the thing that you're looking for here as DRX. It can't be just one of the two, because the other one will carry that fight.
Really clean vision denial here from T1. They brought all the control wards to this push. And there is just nothing, there's no way for DRX to see what direction Faker's going to come from. So this is just like Zoe's playland right now. She can do whatever she wants. And she's going to do stuff like this. 2 Infernal Drakes. That hook was a little bit doomed. Pioche though, okay, he's going to get the sleep, but he immediately dies. 0 follow-up from DRX. That's going to be the front line going down. And T1 looks like they may have just opened up this game. And we'll be able to take this down unless we have the insane stop from DRX.
The 7-man sleep from Pioche there. Jokes aside, you can't follow up there. The front line is too big.
Oh no. Now they're just getting pounced on here. Bao not able to get out of dodge because he's just even gonna live. As Bao's doing some crazy things as the Kaisa does here in the late game. But at the end of the day, he goes golden and then he goes gray screen. As Becca will survive, but at the end of the day, DRX will not. T1 picks up a huge win.